Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment, therapeutic, for patients or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent his messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose, but by them understanding through those who have become messiahs to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. Elevate, the lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness by giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand, to be there to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle, which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 348th One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace here on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'll be your host once again in this weekly series of workshops, ongoing for several years now. And we still have members of the Universal Council who will be presenting the workshop, as well as the support members. And let's get into that presentation now. And
thank you, Rick. My name is Stefania, and I'm a representative of the Italian language of the Universal Council. We give you the welcome to this appointment of Tuesday for One Planet, One Nation, One Race. As usual, thank you very much to be here with us today and listen to this public workshop. I just wanted to share once again a little update of what's been happening. So we had again another breakthrough teaching from Mr. Keshe the last Thursday. I really recommend you, if you didn't hear the workshop yet, to go to YouTube and or on our channel and going to see the workshop. It's very, very important, very fundamental teaching. Last week, Mr. Keshe touched very important, as you know, this workshop is free and is always on the web. So everyone can go and have a look, have a listen. It's open for everyone. So last time the workshop was a 559, and Mr. Keshe done a lot of draws in this workshop. The first draws was for me super important, like all the other draws. So it's really start to talk very in depth about how the gravitational and the magnetic fields of the oxygen are similar, are in balance with the magnetic fields of the atmosphere of the Earth. So the nitrogen, and he really go in details and explaining this draw how the oxygen, it's the magnet of Earth, and they explain, give a full exercise that if you are willing to do, you can test. They really explain how to test the theory behind of what is teaching, that is correct. So he explained that the oxygen, he talked about liquid and gases, and he showed that the oxygen, it can make this connection, and it can, and it's explain why is the magnet and why then from the oxygen we can connect the nitrogen, and the nitrogen connect with the iron, and then explain how we connect to the full amino acid, and then explain how also how things get materialized from gas and liquids fields. So it's very, very interesting. I try to explain it with my word, but I really recommend you to go on and study it as much as you can, because it will take us time to understand all his teaching. So very, very important. And then he's also explained how we should move away from the matter state. So explain how the matter state is formed, and then explain how we should move away. And he start to talk about the crystalline structure. He's also explained how the crystalline structure is formed of the physicality, and how the crystalline structure is form of the energetically of the soul of the man. Very, very interesting, because from here we can then understand all the principle of what we studied for transmutation. So other things, yes, in the first draw there are a lot of explanation with atomic number. It's very in depth, so I really recommend it, and explain how the carbon, talk about the carbon 12, how the carbon 14 make the crystalline structure that is the missing link for us to get the full field strength of the central energy system of the man, or the soul of the man, as we call him. It's the same thing, soul of the man. So he talk about the carbon 60, and it goes more in depth. So then he moves, after the first row, he start to move on the product, and he will introduce the new soaps product. The new soaps, he explained that soaps are very easy to made and to get the qualification for be able to sell to the public. So it's a very easy way for the Keshe Foundation to spread the technology for the soaps. And the soaps cannot be copied, are very unique, and they have a lot of deep knowledge of development of the technology in the soaps. So is really recommended. Sorry, is really, I'm sorry. Is really recommended how it's very important to get a bundle of them, and how it's important to buy them and try them. And this way you will support the foundation as well on the research, and to report back. So the soap are quite expensive, but they have a very high technology in them. So it will really affect the emotional of the man, and really help to change the behavior of the man. So he also recommend to use it in a couple. So if your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and wife, to try them and report back. And then we also start to have a lot of very interesting questions from Mehran. She makes a lot of very good questions. And we're going into more in depth and study deeply with your language group, and then share the knowledge with as many people as you can. And then we're going in depth again on carbon 12 and carbon 14, and they're connected, the relationship with emotion, so the importance of the emotion. And then we got another important question from Mehran, where we start to go into the reason why of the measure of the galaxy or the planets, and really going to talk again of inertia. So for who is interested to know more about inertia, in the second part, when we go question and answer, we have also this other important question that Mr. Keshe gonna talk in depth. Then there is one of my question that also this was actually very good answer from Mr. Keshe, where he's explained that the new system, they will in the future, very near future, you can create a crystalline structure of the man. So what does it mean this? It means that in the future, if someone loses legs or lose an arm, or we have to regrow our organs. We can create a crystalline structure of the man, of the person that wants to be rebalanced, and you can work in that way, where you can regrow a limb, you can regrow an arm, or legs, or regrow organs through those systems. So this system is gonna really develop as more the time go by, and we'll be able to do more breakthrough things. Then it start to talk also about the disc. So if any of you that listening has bought the disc from the store, please go in and listen, because it will explain how this disc can be used. And also, if you're one of these lucky person who bought the Cosmic Ray bundle, it just explain how to use them, and how to use this Cosmic Ray bundle. I think a combination also with the disc and the glass. So always remember that every product is not there for case, just for everything is studied. It's like a puzzle that then you will be able to put together and use together. So if you go any financial possibility, please buy as much product as you can and combine them, and then report back. They're really life-changing. Also, it talks about the guns. The guns of today got nothing to do with the guns of the guns we know that we used to make it at home. There are guns made in completely different way. There are completely different guns that cannot be copied, and they have advanced technology in them. So again, it's very precious material. Everything is limited quantity, because, as you know, there are not many people who can do this, who can understand the plasma technology. So there are not many people who can actually make those products, and therefore we always gonna be a limited number. So if you can, please go and buy and try, because again, they're really life-changing, and report back again. Dan is gonna talk again. It's gonna go into the situation of today. Unfortunately, all you know, they were really in a very I don't know even how to choose the word, but we're really in a very delicate and unstable situation, especially the Middle East and also in other parts of the world. He's actually going to talk more in depth about the situation of the world happening now in the Middle East. And he also gonna talk about the real reason behind. And of course, it's always petrol. That's why, once again, it's very important to learn and study deeper and share as much as we can this technology, and find people who can really understand it, so we can apply and move away from fuel and petrol, because once again are always the main reason of wars. So it's always good to move away from petrol if we can, and find something instead that it's really work. So also it talks about the transmutation session that of October, and he recommend to people who will be present at this session to please be ready with have some guns ready. He recommend to have any guns you have in the house, but he also suggests the CO2 and the zinc to have ready for the use. So this is how much I can remember, because I'm sure there is a lot more that I forget. But this will be a surprise for you when you're going to listen to the workshop. So please go on to listen and share the knowledge and study deeply. So today we're gonna again move on to the wishes, and then we're gonna move into the soul connection. So as you know, the soul connection is very important for us to practice our soul or central energy system connection. to make a change. No one can interfere with that one. So it's really empower us. So we have to practice so we get better. And then we're going to talk about the workshop more in detail, or the 559. We're going to talk about the situation. Also, we're going to talk about the transmutation and much, much more. So thank you so much for listening and staying tuned and enjoy the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefania. Very comprehensive, and thank you for your knowledge and everything you've just shared with all the knowledge seekers and everybody present. And we enjoyed the knowledge and the explanation that you've given, and the beauty that you've shown, and your continued soul support for humanity and all the souls created in these moments. So I have a teaching here that was a continuation from the emotions and the soul, the emotional guidance system. And I didn't. This is just a continuation. I didn't actually. When I started this teaching, I asked my soul, and it brought this forward. And it just seems to be that at a certain specific time, you get very specific teachings that come up when you actually look into the work and the understandings that Mr. Keshe is putting forward for humanity. And this is something that came up. And I know it comes from a past, and I know it comes from a field strength that carries something different. However, the teachings are always in the moment you actually connect with them, and you go back to these older teachings. They, in the very moment you actually receive the knowledge, or you read some of the words, it suddenly connects with that connection comes back again. That singular point, that ray, whatever you want to call it, comes back in that moment. So I'm going to read some of these words that have come forward from this teaching. So this is for the emotions and the soul, the emotional guidance system. The emotional body functions as a mediator. So right off those first few words, we could do with some mediators across planet Earth right now that actually use the emotional body as a bridge. Actually take the beauty of the creation and use the knowledge as a bridge to reach out to the rest of humanity and the souls present, to bring some balance, to be used as a communicator, or communicator. You can communicate many things by being present in the moment, and all the things that are being broadcast around planet Earth. The universe is there, present, listening. They hear every word. And the shame of humanity sometimes, when we understand what we do, is heard, as I said, throughout the universe. And we all know it. We're all present with it. There's many, many beautiful things that are also present with humanity. And sometimes we have to look deep within ourselves to understand which way we go, magnetically or gravitationally, and what are we creating in the moment. So as a translator between the soul and the physicality, so we're using that emotional body between our soul and the physicality. And this is an older teaching, so I think now we would probably say between the physicality and the soul being the higher. We would that's why it's crucially important to understand how this works. This is for the people to understand how they can make it to an understandable way to deal with this emotion. And as you already went into this first one, when you are sad, you crunch. So when you're sad, you tend to bend over, you bend into your body, you bend down. And if you notice, many people in the physical form, they start to crouch, bend forward. Why is this? Does that mean that the soul of the man is unhappy? Is feeling that the presence of the physicality needs to do something to rebalance? Or is it the fact that the emotion within the physical body is carrying so much weight, so many emotions, that it makes the physicality bend, crouch down from the emotion, from when you're sad? So the complete opposite, when you're happy, you rise up. Many things in life, many field strengths, many spheres, many beautiful creations rise up physically and emotionally. We rise each day. We rise with the morning sun. We rise emotionally when we receive an energy that we feel nourishes our system, our emotions, and it makes us rise up. And so when we give that quality of field strength of energy transfer to another, we can make them rise up too. We can share our emotions in the right way. So what kind of emotions can we hold on to in order to balance these fields to be able to function at the optimum? What is the optimum? What is it for you? What is it for humanity? What is it for a soul present on planet Earth or anywhere in the galaxies and universes? What is the optimum that we can balance ourselves to? Is it that environment that we find ourselves present in? Do we absorb the emotions from the elements that are all around us? Is that what causes the emotion? So we find that optimum balance. Stefania was talking about the oxygen and nitrogen, and how that is present on planet Earth, and that's the physical side. And we tend to use this very much, and it creates many emotions. The Mr. Keshe was saying the carbons and the hydrogens are connected to the creator, and the hydrogen is always connected to the creator wherever we go. And we know that one hydrogen can fill a universe. It's a bit like the creator. So the creator within ourselves, when we connect, it's part of everything, and we are part of everything. So why do we create these emotions that bring an imbalance to others, let alone to ourselves? So, because if that is where the connection sits, it's the optimum. This is where the connection sits. They need to understand how to work with it. So we know Mr. Keshe said there's a spectrum of energies, and all emotion is like a gradient. And I spoke about this last week. It slides up and down, and so we go from one gradient to the next, where we have these certain emotions that cause us distress and imbalance and make us crouch, make us do things that are not in balance with ourselves and creation. And then when we go to the other end of the scale, we become that mist, we become that lightness again, and then we start creating in the right way. And we have a choice, each and every single one of us, regardless of you, whatever you are in physicality here. We all have a choice right now to do the correct thing in the right way with the correct ethos to serve and help others. And by doing this, you will serve yourself. By doing this, you will receive from all the souls that you give to in many, many different ways. I see many souls present at the moment that are doing all they can to help humanity to understand the conditions that we are creating through our emotions connected to the environment that we're placed within. So, if man would understand how to shorten the transition time, so we are going through a transition time, and for humanity, for the humans, and not just humans, for all the souls that are present within this sphere of this little blue planet, we have many conditions that are bringing us joy, happiness, and beauty. And we also get the other end of the scale. And we can solve this within us. And I think this slide will explain it a little bit more as we go along. So all problems would be solved. All problems would be solved. All psychological warfare types of problems would be solved instantaneously within the next generation. So what does that mean? Because I think the next generation, from what Mr. Keshe is creating with Mitra, could be present in this very moment. You're going to bring forward a soul that is so pure and so beautiful that killing and wrongdoing could not be present. It's not part of this soul's ability to create. And this soul would be present as a energy in the energy form, and it may choose to come into the physicality. But I think the soul essence and presence of this this child would bring about this generational change. And would this be in our generation or the children's generation? World peace would be near. The optimum comes when you can release the emotion of the physicality or the soul of the physicality into the soul of the emotion of the gaseous part, or what we call the brain of the man. So can you remember some teachings a little while ago Mr. Keshe gave where he was saying that a gaseous planet, when it reaches a certain position in the solar systems, it changes to a matter state condition as it gets closer to the sun. And then the elements change. It becomes physical. So if we have this emotion within the gaseous part, we can, with our intentions, with our thoughts from the condition of the matter, we can change the gaseous part, the emotion, the brain of the man. And this is what we've all been talking about, and this is what many of these teachings are about, is actually connecting on a soul level, the gaseous part, the creator part, and releasing that into the matter state, into the planet, into the universe that is present within each and every one of us, that we create. And then it goes on to say, if only we could teach our children in this world how to utilize the emotional body. And wouldn't this be a beautiful thing that each and every child that comes forward into the physicality receives the emotional balance, the emotional knowledge to bring forward the creation point, to bring forward the emotions that would be in balance with not just the physicality, not the soul, but in the environment wherever you're present. And on planet Earth, this would be the most wonderful condition because you wouldn't need to, you would never take from another unless it was offered freely for you to receive. And so to teach them what its purpose is, how it functions, and what it means. Can you imagine going to school and teaching the children from a very early age these words and these emotions, and for them to absorb it? Can you imagine the children that would be produced and how they would interact in the environment and what they would create? It would be totally different. It would be totally different. It would be the joy and happiness of the universal community present on planet Earth, which is already present here, but we're going through these emotional flare-ups, to get to the balanced position. So, how the fields of emotion will actually create the reactions in physicality and the soul when an emotion flares up. So, how would we do that? How would we control the emotions that create reactions in our physicality when the emotion flares up? What's the trigger? What's the condition? What's the field strength? What's the element that triggers the emotion to flare up? And it causes all sorts of things in the body. It could, sometimes people blush, they go red. Sometimes people get very angry. Sometimes people receive some words that don't resonate, and they absorb the energy from the words and turn it into a disease in their body over a period of time. Sometimes instantly, if the communication and the words spoken are so are received deeply, that it affects, like the gaseous part, affecting, if it goes through a certain point, it suddenly becomes a matter state. So it can be instantaneous. And as I said, it can also take some time. And on planet Earth, as we know, we have this this clock, this ticking, this connection that is present, that is the rotation, the inertia of planet Earth, and these fields that are slowed down and give us this matter state condition. But the soul of man is present above this. And so when you connect to it, we can control these emotions. We can step back from them and don't absorb them. We can change the gaseous and move it to another position. I remember Mr. Keshe saying if he had a diamond and he was to inject a tiny bit of gas in the right place at the right time in this crystalline structure, he can change the condition of the diamond, make it different colors. So if we have a crystalline structure within, Mr. Keshe was speaking about it being in the universal flow, in the universe at the moment, then we have the same within our structure as well, within our cells in our body. And so we can control this, we can uncontrol it, we can let go, we can just be present in the moment, and we can, as the next thing would say here, that would be the first step. And then when you release the emotion to the brain of the man, then you will become one. And does that one mean being at one with yourself? Does that mean being at one with humanity, with the planet, with all the created creatures present, with the solar system and galaxies in the universe and the Creator that is present in this exact moment and aware that the Universal Council is bringing this beauty to humanity to elevate and create a condition that brings the emotional flares up into balance, so we can all move forward and enjoy the universal ethos that is present in these moments. So this is all, as you can see here, from the KF Wiki. Is the guidelines for balancing the emotions, and it says from detachment from physicality and emotions. And so, I find this difficult sometimes as well. It's that detachment from the physicality and the emotions. When you can step away and reflect and be present, you can actually change the conditions. You can detach from the physicality and then recreate. And if all of us are one soul and we're all deeply connected, then we'll come to understand that traveling from point A to point B is instantaneous anywhere in the universe, regardless of where you're present, because you are part of the Creator, which means you have the ability to be at any point in time, in any moment. You can be the gaseous soul of man that is then can manifest with free will wherever you decide you need to be. And we're using the tools that we have to gradually come to these positions. Thank you very much for listening, and I think I'll leave it there. Thank you, Rick. I think we can now go on to the next slide.
So next we have the wishes.
I can read this wish. If no one's coming forward, Rick, I will read the wish. So we, the UC, we wish and give through our soul to all souls in existence, to be able to understand the true nature of all the conditions and situations in planet Earth, creating and understanding, elevating the ability to be in the balance of universal love and peace now. And we are present.
We, the Universal Council, bring immense joy and happiness to see all leaders working towards world peace and making sure that not one living being suffering anymore for any wars or any injustices. The leaders, full of joy and happiness, by giving from their souls, making sure that their citizens receive what they need at the point of need, as they have understood that kindness, compassion, and unconditional love. Living all happy together in peace, the only way for all us and entire universe and beyond. These are our wishes, and our wishes we command.
We are present. So this is the next slide, and this is where we join the soul of physicality with the soul, with some very simple words that, when spoken, whenever you feel is correct for you. I personally use it sometimes, well, not every day. I use it in each and every moment before I go to sleep, and the moment that I come back into this reality. Then I speak the words. I physically speak them, and sometimes I speak them in my soul tongue, which has no physical has no physicality. So it's a thought. It's a presence in a different in an energy state, I should say. And so, by speaking these words in this moment, I love you, my soul. I live you and I love with you and I adore you. And when you speak these words, you're connecting the voice box, which is the connection between the physicality and the soul, and you're manifesting these words. Words, when we speak them, have significant field strengths. So when we do it with the correct ethos and we're connecting with the soul, we can see what the soul will give back to you, what you'll receive. Because when you start connecting with your soul, then you start to have many different experiences, and many beauties will be bestowed upon your realities, because the soul is being acknowledged, is being understood, and we are reaching a creation point. We are creating a different interaction, totally different interaction. Can you imagine if we have this knowledge 20 years ago, 30 years ago? If we had the knowledge we have now, and we manifested by speaking the words to our soul, what would be the creation point now? Where would we be present in these moments? What would be manifested around us? Would we have all these calamities, all these storms and wars and all these other creations around us? Or would we have built a field strength up of beauty that would be like a field strength that would be unpenetrable? So when you say these words, you're bringing the soul out of the physicality. You're expanding, you're enhancing, you're creating this dome of peace, this portal to yourself that is spoken, manifested, and created as a sphere around yourself. And then you can extend it to the others. And if they so wish, if they sense it, then maybe they will come into your sphere and feel the protection and love and care that you give to them. But that's for them to decide and them to choose. That's their soul. And maybe it would find a balance with your soul. And then each soul that comes into this sphere would be in peace in this moment. And so from an atom to a universe being the same process, if the seed of that intention and that beauty was spoken, I adore you, my soul. Imagine if we spoke, each and every one of us, to each and every single one of us like this, with that love and care. If we said it to the planetary system, to the earth, if we said it to the creator within, how the emotions would change, how the balancing would take position, and how the creation would be in full beauty, in this exact moment, which it is when you actually understand. When you understand. Thank you all. Thank you, Rick. I think we can go to the next slide. Sorry, unless somebody else would like to say something, please jump in if anybody would like to.
Next, we have this soul connection with Mehran.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. In the soul connection today, we try to sit or stay or stand comfortably and breathing until the breathing comes slowly and going slowly. Then we let go of our soul, connecting to other souls towards the urgent desire of necessity of peace in this planet, of love, fraternity, and prosperity of all existing. And we stay in this connection for a while. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Thank you very much. We can go to the next.
Next, we have the Universal Council invitation. I believe Stefania is doing that.
I think Stefania had to catch a train.
Yes, she's certainly not here in transit, so go ahead, Mark.
We'll just share this. If you enjoyed the process that we just went through, this process is continually repeated on a daily basis. As the invitation says, the Universal Council invites the Keshe family, or the Keshe and the Universal Council family, in unifying at the soul level every day at 9 p.m. Central European Summer Time or 9 p.m. Central European Time, for the elevation of all souls of all leaders and soul of the totality of the Keshe Foundation, creating peace in everything that exists. And of course, in a way, it starts with you finding that inner peace. But this is a process, again, that will continue until we reach this permanent peaceful condition on this planet. And why would we need this? Because the greater family is waiting for this child to, in a way, embrace and share and interact with this beautiful creation of souls in this part of the universe. And of course, our ways of killing and destruction is not accepted in the universal community. And we're part of it. But we've been misbehaving for quite a long time, and this planet is now up for, in a way, a revolution of the understanding, the knowledge, our capacities and our capabilities of what it means to be created in the image of the Creator. So this gives us all an opportunity to, in a way, use your fields. We're using the power of the soul here. There's no physicality involved, even though the physicality does pop up sometimes and wants to think we need to confirm something in the matter state, but we know we're bringing the change through the energies and through the plasmas that we all create. And the reason we're doing it collectively is because we're much stronger together. We're strong as an individual, but when we put all of our fields together, certain fields that certain people have, or combination of these fields, may touch the soul of world leaders, religious leaders, negotiators for peace around this planet. So in a way, it's our responsibility, if it's your wish to see peace, as we heard in the introduction, path of peace is made very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving, will create this position of change. No other thing. So it's up to you to join us. The souls are already connected, and now we're going to put them to work again in this dimension of energy, which we're in a way just opening up. We are pretty confident with our operation of the physicality, but we never knew that we're actually operating in both dimensions. And of course, as we've heard, the reality might be the illusion, or what we call the matter state, and the dimension of energy is probably the reality. But we sort of have things mixed up, and this allows us, again, to use our souls to find out more about ourselves, our energies, and some of our capabilities. The Universal Council is learning this process too. As Mr. Keshe said, he'll handle the physical end, and we can see the types of systems that are being produced, from energy to feeding to communications to travel. And these are all beautiful things that, in a way, we have, but we never really knew we have. Now that we understand a little bit about the work of the soul, we can bring the change through the energies. And as Mr. Keshe indicated, this is not a day job. And this process has been going on in China. It's been going on in many countries. Many people have wished for peace. And this is the way the peace will be established on this planet, through our wishes, and we will see it manifest in the matter state. So we invite you all, again, to bring the change in this matter, in this way. You don't have to go out and protest. You don't have to write letters or make phone calls or try and get an appointment with a world leader. We can touch them and reach them and elevate their souls through our souls, through the sharing of the souls, which again, the physicality will tell us this is impossible. You have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty to make any sort of impact. But now we know a different way, a universal way. And of course, this is the way the Creator works. And we have the same capability if we understand that we're made in the image of the Creator. A different strength, a different amount, and a different size. But as we heard, we're part of the totality and the Universal Council. And even the sun is getting involved in this process more than we probably realize, as Mr. Keshe indicated. He set in motion a process in China about the aurora and what's happening. And apparently these auroras, these solar class flares and other things are just sort of covering the earth in a blanket of energy for the elevation of all of the souls. So the sun is involved, we're involved, the universal community is involved, and the change will be brought as it's been promised. Again, there's some bumps and there's some turns in this road, but what has been promised is what will be delivered. And you can be part of that process. You are part of that process. And now that you know it, it's your responsibility to take a nanosecond, to take a minute, to take as much time as you like, as often as you like, to continue to pulse, in a way, this plasma and share our souls with the ones that are in such a low position that they don't even realize they can change or they can get out of this position. I see Stefania has just rejoined us. And Stefania, I just said a few words. And if you'd like to add to this, please do.
Mark, unfortunately, I think my reception is not good as I'm
Okay, but your
traveling.
attention is very strong.
So, yeah. It's strong now. Yes, yes, what I can add, what I can add about this is that I didn't hear what you said before because I just connected, as you said.
We can't hear you very well, Stefania.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So I'm sure not we don't know would work. So no problem. So I'll leave you because I have really bad connection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, at 9 p.m. every day, I know the time change is coming up, but join us. It doesn't cost anything, and actually you're opening up by nourishing others. You'll become nourished and in a way elevate your own soul through this process. And this idea of serving is going to be carried out in your existence in the universe, in a way, in a different dimension, but with the same principles of the stronger, in a way, giving to the weaker, and so on and so forth. So it's quite powerful, even though our physicality doubts many times that this could possibly work. But this is the understanding of the new dimension of the new knowledge, this new science, this new ethos, and this new language that we're introducing. And hopefully we can bring the change and add more and more, because we need to reach a point, a tipping point in a way, as we get to this collective awareness. As more and more people wish for peace, we will see the peace manifest in the matter state. But again, it's not like baking an oven or building a house and in 3 months it's finished. Although it could happen at any point, at any time. Mr. Keshe is preparing systems in the background, or more gifts for humanity, as humanity has to bring the change for itself. And this is one of the words that Mr. Keshe has spoken. If we bring the change within 1 or 2 generations, even with the advanced technology of feeding and travel and energy, you'll go right back to the same behavior. So we want a permanent, peaceful planet, and this is the way we're going to bring it, in a combination of ways, if I could say that, to reach that permanent, peaceful condition. So thank you all, and now that you know, it becomes your responsibility. But no one is checking, no one is seeing if you're joining, but the souls are aware. So join us together, and we'll bring the change in this dimension, not so much through the physicality. Although we have amazing systems beyond belief that are ready to be unveiled to humanity. Again, systems beyond the imagination of even many science fiction movies. So we have a lot in store. The party is being prepared, but there's still a little time and a few adjustments that need to be made. So continue this work and bring the change for us today or for future generations here on this planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Rick, if I can just quickly say a few words. It's Dean here again. I'd just like to add to this a little bit. In the words I said earlier are very powerful, and the formation of the words and the meanings and the intentions. So if we look on the screen here, we see at 9 p.m. For the elevation of the souls of all leaders. So whom are the leaders? Is the leader yourself? Because we are all leaders. We give our intention away cheaply sometimes, and we say we give it to the leaders, but the leader is yourself. Lead from within. Be this change of position. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, bear with me a minute here. I've got to get my document back. It's disappeared. Okay. Ah. Okay, very good. Thank you, Dean and Mark, for your comments there. And we'll move to the next slide. And now we have the questions and answers with the Universal Council with Marie and Claudia. And let me prepare that. I've got that ready to go. And now we're on, we're on question 2 of this month's installment of the Q&A with the UC. And I believe we're ready to go with that. So let's listen in on Claudia and Marie as they discuss question number 2.
So then we are on the second question. In my understanding, we are living in physicality, putting physicality first in our lives, and we live to feed and satisfy everything for the survival of physicality, when in fact it should be the other way around. We should live for the soul and feed the soul with our emotions in order to manifest our desire in any time, place and position.
Então, agora nós vamos para a segunda pergunta. No meu entendimento, estamos vivendo na fisicalidade, colocando a fisicalidade em primeiro lugar em nossas vidas e vivendo para alimentar e satisfazer tudo para a sobrevivência da fisicalidade, quando na verdade deveria ser o contrário? Deveríamos viver para a alma e alimentar a alma com nossas emoções a fim de manifestar nossos desejos em qualquer tempo, lugar e posição?
And the first answer, we should live our life according to the ethos of Mitra, by thinking, speaking, and acting good. By living by the rules of the universe, you add fields to your soul, which will give you a better starting point as a soul, closer to the Creator when the real life starts. The existence as souls on our journey back to our Creator for eternity.
Então, a primeira resposta é: devemos viver nossa vida de acordo com o ethos de Mitra, pensando, falando e fazendo bem. Ao viver de acordo com as regras do universo, você adiciona campos à sua alma, o que lhe dará um ponto de partida melhor como alma, mais próximo do Criador, quando a vida real começa, a existência como almas na nossa jornada de volta ao Criador pela eternidade.
And there is another answer. Physicality and soul of the man are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. Only with the doing you are feeding your soul of the man. That's why it's so important conduct to think good, be good, act good. All have to happen at the same time. Until then, you are wasting your time and other people's time. Dreaming too much and not doing doesn't take you anywhere with the soul of the man. Physicality is like a tool. You have to test things to know what they are. By doing, you are learning. It's like being a pianist. Even if dreaming or study to be a pianist, you will never be a pianist until you start to play the piano.
Então, a fisicalidade e a alma do homem são dois lados da mesma moeda. Uma não pode existir sem a outra. Somente com a ação você alimenta a alma do homem. Por isso é tão importante conduzir-se de forma a pensar, falar e fazer o bem. Todos devem acontecer ao mesmo tempo. Até lá, você está desperdiçando o seu tempo e o tempo dos outros. Sonhar demais e não agir não leva a lugar nenhum com a alma do homem. A fisicalidade é como uma ferramenta. Você precisa testar as coisas para saber o que são. Ao fazê-lo, você está aprendendo. É como ser um pianista. Mesmo sonhando ou estudando para ser pianista, você nunca será um pianista até começar a tocar o piano.
And there is another answer. Yes, most of the beings on that planet have gotten the pleasure of enjoying the earth, but living in the two dimensions, energetic and physical. Therefore, our emotions, energy in movement, are focused mainly on the confirmation of this physicality. It has remained in the DNA and the RNA of our ancestors. It is in our soul to break this cycle and change it, to continue enjoying the entire universe in fullness.
Então, sim, a maioria dos seres desse planeta esqueceu o prazer que é aproveitar a Terra, mas viver nas duas dimensões, energética e física. Portanto, nossas emoções, energia em movimento, estão focadas principalmente na confirmação desta fisicalidade. Isso permaneceu no DNA e RNA de nossos ancestrais. Está em nossa alma quebrar este ciclo e mudá-lo, para continuar aproveitando todo o universo em plenitude.
And there's another answer. Yes, it's our way through physicality to reach the soul level. Just a moment here. Dimension. We choose the way we walk. We choose the thoughts we think, and it's us to ask for the knowledge that leads us to the truth. The commandments guide you there. It's the holy truth of being part of being creator in creation. We live through our soul in combination with our soul of physicality, making the manifestation we call life possible. The rays interaction becomes fields, field interactions become plasma interactions, become whatever you need. Now, what is your desire to manifest? Do it wisely. Do it in the right ethos of Mitra, so we can change this world to a better place for all souls in existence.
Então, sim, é o nosso caminho através da fisicalidade para alcançar a dimensão do nível da alma. Escolhemos o caminho que percorremos, escolhemos os pensamentos que pensamos, e somos nós que medimos o conhecimento que nos leva à verdade. Os mandamentos o guiam até lá. Eles são a verdade sagrada de ser parte do Criador na criação. Vivemos através de nossa alma, em combinação com nossa alma da fisicalidade, tornando a manifestação que chamamos de vida possível. A interação dos raios se torna interação de campos, se torna interação de plasma, se torna o que quer que você precise. Agora, o que você deseja manifestar? Faça isso com sabedoria. Faça no ethos de certo de Mitra, para que possamos mudar este mundo para um lugar melhor, para todas as almas em existência.
And then we are on the third question.
Okay, that completes our excerpt from the Q&A with the UC, with Maria and Claudia.
To be continued next week.
Yes, just like the Batman and Robin series back in the old days. All right, let's carry on to our next presentation. We have an excerpt from the 559th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of October 10th. And we consult the oracles here briefly. And we're starting at the 13 minutes into it. And this will go for about 15 minutes or so. Okay, let's begin.
is what we said about hydrogen and a carbon. And then we have the nitrogen and oxygen. I always explained this nitrogen and oxygen relationship with the physical life. It is interesting to, as a part of the studies, if you go back and go into some of the scientific research in some of the things you can test to confirm the gravitational field, or what we call the magnetic field, gravitational field of the, what we call the gaseous and the liquid side with oxygen, to be the same as the one which is with the nitrogen, which is connected to the ion, the physical side. We need the gravitation of both. If a planetary is only gaseous, you only look at one element because there is no matter state solid in it. When you have a composite material state with no gaseous line on it, you look at the, what we call matter state connection of it to find life. In the scientific research, if you've done this, or if you ever knew, we confirm that oxygen behaves as a gravitational field, as a magnet into the liquid inside. How the scientists do this is very simple. You take a magnet in a way like this, and you apply a very high voltage in a way, and then you pour different liquid materials like nitrogen, like what you call anything you have as a liquid, and you find it just goes through, you don't see anything. But interesting enough, when it comes to hydrogen, to oxygen, oxygen builds a bridge. It shows its gravitational characteristics, which is in a way in balance with the, what we call the magnetic field of the Earth, which connects it to nitrogen, as I explained last time. 4 times nitrogen gives you the ion, which gives you that magnetic field. But if you pour nitrogen in this gap, it will not go. But if you pour oxygen, you see a white cloud just sticks. It becomes like a matter state. So one of the confirmation for you to understand why and how physical confirmation that oxygen behaves like a magnet, like a gravitational fields on this planet for a what we call liquid and what we call gaseous state, is this test. So scientifically you can see it, that the what we call the fundamental understanding of the teaching is correct. So you have 2 magnetic field connecting, and this is the same with the hydrogen and carbon. 2 magnetic field of the same connect. This is what is the beauty of the creation. So for you knowledge seekers, I know you do these things, go and get yourself a horseshoe magnet, specifically design it that it has a power, you can adjust it, and then pour some liquid oxygen. You see this cloud created, this connection created. And then you understand how nitrogen and oxygen have become the element of the amino acid of the magnet. Because one connects you to the physical side, the nitrogen, and one connects you to the liquid and the gaseous part. But this teaches you one further point, and that is, if the nitrogen side is 14 times 4, which gives you the 56, which is around the element of the ion, what does 16 times 4 give you? This is the limitation. This is the position of the limitation of the materials which can bring, connect, and be part of the life into this structure. You see zinc and you see copper. On the other hand, if you look at the different multiplication of the same, when you go to 14 times 3, it gives you 42. You did calcium and potassium. The same goes with the what we call the elements, to the multiplication of 1, 2, or 3 times the magnetic fields. Then you understand when you have and you connect into what we call 28s and 30s and 32s, because multiplication of the two. So it shows how the structure of the physicality on this planet is created. Link, strength, connection to the magnetic field of the planetary system. This is why we don't see life on planetary system which have no what we call atmosphere on the surface of them. But it doesn't mean that they don't have life inside. But all this is always connected to the world of the creation of the universe. Once you understand this in a full detail, in understanding of totality, the world of the creation, the world of science becomes very easy to understand in a micro and macro, universal life and a physical life. They're all connected. They are there. We have no choice. Now we understand it. And then we see, like when we add calcium to this, we get bone structure. We add potassium into this, we get field radiation and connected to some of the characteristics of it. But the next step for us to understand is to move away from the matter state and move in a dimension and a direction where the correction and what we call collection of the whole three brings a common denominator, maximum extent of the field strength of the soul. What does this mean? Once we find a common denominator, field strength, the same as what we did with magnetic fields here with the nitrogen and oxygen, between the carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, because hydrogen is always there as a basic limit, as a starter point, then you find the field strength of the soul, the maximum extension of the field, the strength of the soul, because then the soul and the soul of physicality all work within the first dimension with the same dimension. What does this mean? You need to bring a very, very strange but specific characteristic into this. I thought about this a couple of years ago in dimension of the work. But what is interesting is the beauty which this brings into play. If you bring and place in here, very simply, very straightforward, put 12, it's not the right color, let me get you a more darker color that you can see. Let's go for a blue. If we take this and we bring it in here somewhere in between and play a slightly different game and multiply 12 by 5, you get 60. Then you understand, if you go into the crystal structure, you find a common denominator why life is given crystal structure of the physicality. If you don't understand this, go back. You have carbon 12, carbon 14, and then you have carbon 60, which is crystal structure. But here at the same time, if you multiply carbon 14 by 4, which gives you the 56, You see how we are connected to both dimensions of the physical life and dimension of the universal life. 60 brings us the physical muscle tissue, copper. Is elusive greenish color with tints of green and red into it. But the interesting point is, when you bring carbon 14 into game and into play, in being equal or parallel to the nitrogen, this is where the bond is created. This is how the amino acid is created, connected to the physical dimension on the energy of carbon 12, and connected, giving it a physical structure as a crystal structure of the carbon 60 in the dimension of the universal line. Then you see how when you eat, when you absorb energy, you interact with the dimension of the soul. The emotion between the two sides. Understanding the positioning, understanding the conformation of the existence. If you understood this, if you take it a step further, you come to understand how to transmute. You come to understand what you need to transmute. Then you come to understand why we ever started the production of the gas. The very first gas we taught to you was CO2. Because you look at the gas in the material and the water you have. And I keep on telling you, look at the gas as the energy, which is the fields of the universe. If you take this and bring it into the play and bring it into interaction with the fields of the matter state of the life, then you understand how sugar, you call it CH3, plays the game on this side. Then you understand into the addictions, why you have the nitrogen and oxygen playing on this side. And then you understand where the emotion comes, we get addicted to. Abuse, sexually, psychological abuse, because we lock into one of these in connection to the amino acid. Look at all the alcohols, chemical combination. Look at all the narcotics. Look at the hormones which connect to your sexual behavior, connects to your emotional behavior. And then, if you understand this, you have learned the game of the creation. Then, when we are told in the deep space there is a star which has this chemical composition on its atmospheric condition and such a composition in its matter ground state, it would be easy for us to calculate what life and what amino acid exists in this combination. We don't need to be there to feel it. We can create it in a fish tank, as I call it. And then add part of the amino acid of your soul part into it. And you see the manifestation of the physicality in the fish tank. Then you know how you will look when you arrive at the point of the time, destination, and the place. But
What again we see, what again we understand from the world of science of today, the astronomers and the cosmologists tell us this planet is this, then it takes so many million light years or thousands of light years to go to it, you say, rubbish. Because you understood the composition of the creation of the connection in this level of life. And once you do that, transmutation is instantaneous.
All right, that's our excerpt for today. If you want to know more about that, you can go to the recordings of the 559th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Okay, let's go on to the next great thing.
Hello, everyone. This is Mosfek again, representing Bengali language and the universal as a universal community, universal council. Sorry. We saw in Mr. Keshe's presentation just now how simple the amino acid to various manifestations. The green wall in the world with for us, the animal kingdom, it's multiplied by 4. For the plant kingdom, we multiplied by 3. And so it's you become green and all that, and the various material that comes with it. Mr. Keshe didn't go into a whole lot, but about the multiplication of 2. But as you know, he was talking about transmuting to other planets, other parts of the universe. But this same knowledge can make us also focus on transmutation at our humble origin, which is on Earth. So this multiplication of 4, 3, 2, what is 2? 2 times 14 is 28, which essentially starts with the silicon, and you have several other things that follows, silicon, sulfur, and all that. You have, and you can look it up in the periodic table and multiply by 16, you see the range, which gives you the spectrum, not necessarily in terms of material. We think in terms of sulfur, various material name that we know from our science, but let's look at them from the point of view of field strength. So in our case, 56 is the beginning field strength, which is that of iron, but it also covers the range of copper, isotopes of copper, isotopes of zinc, which are very much part of our, the iron is part of our blood, the copper is part of our tissue structure, zinc is part of our emotion. We all know this. So similar things exist in the green kingdom and the silicon kingdom, which is the sand or the stone. Sand are what? They are broken pieces of stone that you found, broken pieces of stone that you found on top of the mountain. And as they break up, that come to our beaches and riverside. And so this is the various aspects of physical manifestation on this planet based on what? Our amino acid. And if we look at it, I mean, a little bit from the energetic side, what we get is that these basic fields are connected in our case, for example, and in case of the green people, or green people, I mean the planet, plants, and the stones, it's the same story. But since we are more familiar with our part of the world, through GANs and other understanding that we have developed in Keshe Foundation, but it all connects back to the CNH, which is the soul level. So how is, I talk about practicals. So how is it practically relevant? With CNH, we essentially have the ingredients, which is at the soul level, to transfer any energy to our blood, physical structure, as well as our emotion. So if we feel any shortage or anything slightly off, we have within our being the very capability to get it adjusted. And this faith or this belief is absent in many of us. Dean talks about, I love you, my soul. It's there. In the very fabric of our existence, which is amino acid. And within, the black hole that we carry in our head. So we can transfer any energy to any part of our existence. And this match goes further. We can help others, even the stone, because we have the same energy level. 2 times that of 14. Can we mend the stone that is breaking up? Why not? We know of people who are very good at planting trees and plants, various kinds. And whatever the touch grows, we call them green thumb people. How did they do it? We know now how we can do it. It's the transmutation of energy through love for the planet. They look at the way they touch and handle the plant with care, tenderness, and love. We can do it with stones, we can do it with plants. And the one we cannot forget is we can also do it with ourselves. It's a little harder because we've been told otherwise. You need intermediary, doctor, priest, whoever it is. But in the end, we have the capability to transfer energies to various entities. And it doesn't even stop there. The whole planet is there too. We can transfer energy or exchange energy. We can do it in a collective sense. Collectively, as we talked about in our wishes, the leaders. We can do it to them because they all have the same amino acids, same energy requirements. We just use our intention, our wishes to set up the fields, and then transfer is inevitable and imminent. How fast can it happen? As fast as we want it. Although we have to take into consideration that not all of us operate in the same speed. So we have to take into consideration that we don't want to stop everybody. So in a sense, yes, speed is important. Sure. We can do it at higher speed, some of us, sure. But there are many souls. Not everybody, as we may say, are not up to speed. But, you know, we can help. Once again, transferring energy. And this applies to even our soul of physicality. This is, in my own experiments, what I have seen is that, yes, I have some faith in my soul, but soul of physicality is not quite there, and it needs help. Because soul of physicality is very much attached to the conditionings that we receive on this planet, in various circumstances, social, religious, etc. You all know about these. But what is important is that once we recognize that, as we recognize various world situations and act accordingly with our wishes, we can take action. And the key thing is that we have to identify even the physical condition and tenderly, like the green thumb people, address this by transferring right energy to the right places and at the right pace. So, can we do it? Let's do the experiment. And there are evidence everywhere in Keshe Foundation, even outside. People have done it. They have done transmutation in the past. And you may have heard stories of shamans, yogis, whatever. You have heard, and many of them are very capable at doing some of these things. You know, the stories exist. Are they real? Well, we know the science now. So let's make it real, both individually, collectively, and to every soul on this planet and outside the planet. And Mr. Keshe talked a lot more about outside the planet. I focus a little bit about what's on the planet, something more immediate, something a little closer, something a little easier to address. But can we do both? Why not? But our experiment starts at home. Where is the home? Our body, our planet, anything in between. Thank you very much. And let's do the experiments. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mashfaq. And now,
perhaps, hang on, maybe someone else wants to talk a little bit more. I'm not the only person here, so Mark or anyone else for that matter.
Yes, I will, but I think I'll wait for the transmutation test background, if that's included in this workshop, before I say anything. But I think Rick wanted to go to something else. Rick, is there something?
Yeah, I'm trying. My sharing's so messed up that it's very difficult here. So,
do you want to bring up the transmutation test, and then I'll speak while you arrange the knowledge segment?
I don't know quite what you mean because I'm trying to get my screen together here.
No problem.
We have Mehran that's supposed to be in here with her
I think she's ready.
Mehran with the scroll here. The knowledge and understanding from the 559th Knowledge Seekers Workshop.
Yes.
Okay.
I try to.
I'll play a video in the background for you, Marinez, and with some music low, and you can go ahead. Thank you.
What is this? Okay. So, what I try to explain today is the last workshop 559, and Mr. Keshe talks more about the universe, human existence, and the relation and from one to another, and explaining the relation of this schizophrenic life we have, a part matter and physicality, a part soul and the universe energy. So he starts with saying that we always have all parts of the universe have in common the hydrogen, which is the fundamental hydrogen of creation. And then there is carbon, which goes with it in the universe. And in the physical part, we have nitrogen and carbon. Nitrogen has 14 weight. Okay, and the oxygen is the gravitational part attached to the gravity of planet Earth. And for showing that, he uses a magnet, which is like a horseshoe, and he adds some electricity, high voltage energy between, and then he pours out first the nitrogen or any other liquid, and it goes. And then he pours the oxygen, and as it is gravitational, it sticks and creates kind of physical material it's not in the sky. Okay, it creates a kind of material foam. Yeah. So it means that oxygen is related to the earth, and then oxygen is 16, the number, the weight number, and that they're always together. When we make 4 times of nitrogen, we have 56, which is iron. Oh, and we know iron is the element of this planet inside it. That's why it's so gravitational. And then we make 4 times again of oxygen, which is 16, which becomes 64, which is the copper, which is creating the muscles and things like that. So if we add 3 times 14, it becomes 42, which is calcium, which creates bone, and potassium, which finds sort of radiation, etc. So that's how everything is created, in fact. And then, I mix the things. So they say there is no life wherever there is no atmosphere, because in here we live with oxygen. And when we go out of a sphere and there is no oxygen, we cannot live, we die. So we know that as long as we are related to nitrogen, hydrogen, and carbon in the space, we can go anywhere. And then he talks about what else? And then he talks about carbon, which is 14 when it's in a space. And when we add this in between all that, it becomes 14 multiplié 14 by 4, which would become 14 by 4, which would become 60, which becomes 64, which becomes zinc. And the earth gives away the fields, magnetical. Somewhere in between, they touch each other, and with this inertia between, we have, when they touch each other, we create nitrogen in field form. And then when they come to the earth, with the inertia of the earth, it creates nitrogen in elements. That's why it belongs to the earth. And if you go to another planet with another inertia, so they have other elements, and then they create other things, and it's not sure if human being can live there unless we adjust themselves with having hydrogen and carbon 14, carbon 60 in space, and with nitrogen we go there and we can create ourselves. And then he talks about so he talks about, now that we know all these things, if we create a pool with adding the elements, we can create them even though we are not in that other planet. As long as we can we know what the elements are there, so we can create the life form in a pool by knowing the elements and using this formula. Okay, what else? And then there is a part he talks about carbon, which becomes CH3, and CH3 becomes related to neutron and carbon, and because neutron and carbon in universe are carbon 14 are almost the same numbers, 14 and 16, they live together and then they take in hydrogen, so they become covalent. And then when we create CH3 with this carbon 14, it, because of the carbon, it creates the emotional of man. And so we see how material CH3 is related to the emotion of man, because there is a C and there is oxygen, and with CH3. And that's why every time we have C and H, we have a special emotion with it, like the emotions like abuse of in talking, in sexually, in eating, or any kind of abuse emotionally has to do with the CH3 bond. Anything made with this formula, because CH3 is in fact the original sugar. And that's how we, with this feeling, which is related, it connects to the soul. That's why people take these CH3 in form of alcohol or food or narcotics or things like that, which have this bond, to feel good, to have the emotion. And then in this picture, he brings the C14 in the left side and brings it in multiplied by 5. It would become 60, which is the muscle, the copper, if I don't mistake. And so 41 is the cohen, the acidoamine, which is in the body, which is in each cell of human body. And so now we know that because of oxygen, we are related to the earth. And because of the carbon, we are related at the same time to the universe. And if we know all this correctly, we can go anywhere to universe by knowing this and knowing how to use it. And then he says we created CO2 as the first gas we created. And normally we watch what is created, which is gas. But in fact, it is the energy because of the carbon related to universal carbon, universal connection. And then he talks about how what else? How we can use that for transmutation and transportation, this formula, and that we can even create life by knowing what elements are in some planet without traveling to that. And so by knowing those elements, we can create a life in this planet. And so a lot of other things. So if there's something you want to ask, you ask, so it makes me answer. Because I'm behind the video. The video, I've talked everything in this page, and if you ask me, I can answer as much as I understand. Thank you very much. I hope it was a little useful as far as the numbers Mr. Keshe says, writes, which were the weight of each element, and how, because they have a common denominator, they are close to each other and they create life in this world, in our physicality and in our spirituality related to universe. Thank you. So, for me, it's over.
I think so. Thank you, Marinette. There's no further comments on that. We can go to the transmutation test.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Marinez. Marinez, that was wonderful. You've got a very deep understanding, I think, of this knowledge, and you explained it very, very beautifully. And we thank you for that. The one question I would ask you, Marinez, is you were talking about creating and being present in other places. So Mr. Keshe goes on to talk about it being a fish tank and being able to create a condition where we would, like a fish, you could change the acidity of the water or make it more alkaline, or you could make it more salty or make it sweet. And you would change the condition where the fish would change, its shape and its appearance would have different, as Mr. Keshe said, I think in the teaching, tentacles, different attributes. But when you then, that's a fish, but then if you do the same thing with a man, you're going to get the same thing. What is the man going to look like? What's he going to experience? And I think on a scientific level, Marinette, you've just explained it very beautifully. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As far as we know, the elements, how they work, they should be close to each other, and how they create physicality, the relation with the soul of the life form, and also the emotion added to it, because the emotion and physicality are related together because of carbon, which is also carbon-14. As far as we have these things, we just have to put the elements and fill it like the mathematical puzzle, and then the element is created. The life form is created.
Yeah, Menace, I'm just reading something here. Sorry, I'm listening to you. I'm just reading something that was saying about how if you connect through the breathing, I change my breathing, I change my structure. I can change part of the absorption of the energy. So you come to understand one thing in your amino acid dimension, which is the nitrogen and oxygen and hydrogen and carbon. You have to understand how to reach to that carbon 60 energy fields to be able to reach a manifestation of the energy common denominator of the universe. So what you've just been speaking about is once we combine or control our breathing in a certain way, then we can start to, like a fish, we can start to experience other dimensions and be present across the universe. And I think that by controlling the physicality and in controlling that the nitrogen and that oxygen absorption intake, we're going to start to experience exactly what you've just been speaking about. Thank you, Marinette. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Yes, he said. Nitrogen in the air is 60% of the gas in this planet. And oxygen is 16. It's 4 times more. Again, it's a relation, mathematic relation between the two elements. And by breathing this thing, if we can handle this in a way, like artistic way, by experience, we find a way that we can put the hand on every energy in the universe and take it by breathing inside us. And then he says the example of the Hindu master, which was adored because of not eating every 21 days. And then Mr. Keshe told him that how by movement, by certain position, get into your lung the food by this movement into your lung, whatever it's in universe. So he was, in fact, using that and had nothing to do with purity of his soul or whatever. But he didn't teach it to the students so that he would be the only one who knows how to do that. So he was using the universe food or elements he needs into his lung by breathing the way especially he knew he had learned.
I think there are many ways, Marinez. There's many reactors as there are stars in the night sky, and there are many ways to do this. And Mr. Keshe is explaining one that I think humanity will come to understand very soon, because your understanding is already present.
Thank you, Dean.
You're very welcome.
Okay, any other comments there? Shall we move to Andrea's testimonial?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, I had that all set up and now it's totally disappeared. So just bear with me a minute.
Rick, if you want to put up the transmutation test while you're loading that up or locating it, I'd be happy to share something.
Let's do that. Thank you, Mark.
And of course, these are the monthly transmutation testing that the Keshe Foundation is offering for you to, in a way, prepare for the transmutation. And sometimes these sessions are more dramatic and for some, and sometimes they're less dramatic for others. But I'm there to keep, and we all should be there to keep the Keshe Foundation free for humanity. And sometimes we are asked not to expect anything, and other times we are asked to make lists of perhaps what connects you to the planet, what brings you joy, what brings you sadness, what addictions you may have, or a number of things. I think he listed 4 or 5. And anyway, pains that you perhaps have. So anyway, before this last session, my arm was hurting for a few weeks. I think I had torn a tendon or a ligament, and that was one of my wishes. And of course, it was partially transmuted by the end of the session, very noticeably improved. I was having trouble just laying down, and my arm was throbbing. Before that, after the session, it had gone away completely. It seemed to come back partially, but there was a dramatic improvement in the pain in my arm. So if I could, I'd just start with the session. And I did have the vision glasses and I did have the Ubisos. And of course, we had the headphones connected. I didn't have the discs, or what we call these nano discs that are being offered in the store. But and I decided this time that I would more or less concentrate fully, not reading the chat so much and not looking for people making noise. Why is this person making noise and their microphone is moving up and down? So I decided to, again, sort of close my eyes, fully awake. The pain in my arm was there, but I was holding on to the Ubisos. And it all started with, I started to see a red hue, very light, and then it's changed to an orange hue. And then all of a sudden, in the center of my eyes closed, it had to be seeing this through the soul. I felt I connected to, afterwards, in a way, and what Mr. Keshe had said, that I connected to huge fields in a way, or I was connected to huge fields. So in the center of after the red and the orange had sort of faded away, I saw some flashes of white. And then all of a sudden, these sort of puzzle pieces came into the center of what I would consider the eye of the soul's view. And they were just like if you had a 1,000-piece puzzle. And you know how the little fingers come out of the puzzle and there's a gap to sort of fit them together. And I was wondering, why are these shapes this way? And there was one, and then there was another. They were white. I didn't see them as spherical. But of course, when we look at the sun or the moon, it does appear to be flat. But I wasn't thinking spherical. And I was thinking maybe later on, I thought these were some sort of QR codes or some sort of plasmas. And I was thinking if we took the water off the earth, evaporated all the water, we look at the earth as a ball, you would actually see the shape of the planet in a way, with all the valleys and the oceans being empty. And this is kind of what I saw. And those white flashes, when Rick just played the background for Mernez, it wasn't flashes. I guess it was more of maybe there were some flashes, but there were also some spots. And just the way it didn't see a continent or anything like that. But there was a number of these white spots. What we just saw as Rick played the Together We Can Explore Space and so on. And then I've seen a couple of spheres moving, almost one following the other. I saw lights behind clouds many times. I saw a sun expand as if it started in the center of my viewing or my observation, and it was yellow or gold color, and it expanded to the entire screen or my viewing image. It was almost like a kaleidoscope. In other words, when you look through a kaleidoscope, you see all these images changing, but they're all pretty much the same in a way. They're not different. These were different, but it was sort of like looking into a kaleidoscope, if I could put it that way. And then I saw a teenager with a long neck. Don't know what any of this means. Again, I'm just sharing my experience. I saw a woman with a partially almost a dented in head. She looked fine, other than, I said, this is quite an odd shape. But I just looked at that. And then later on, I saw an image of a ET, but it wasn't the type of ET we normally see. It was more like that one in the movie that they showed when it said ET Home. I've never seen the movie, but I've seen images. So it was more of a rounder face with rounder eyes and a very diminutive nose and mouth. And I don't know if I saw any ears, but I'm just reporting what I experienced. And what else did I experience there? So anyway, as I said, the arm seemed to be, and again, over the last few weeks, it's a couple of weeks, it's been just back to normal, basically. So I think the full transmutation happened. And then at the end of the session, I noticed this very low sounding, almost the way you hear with the tinnitus, the high pitch. This was a very low pitch. And it came to me like a foghorn, let's say, or something on a large ship you'd hear. And it perhaps lasted for 3 seconds. And I was thinking that perhaps that sealed in any sort of changes, or these puzzle shapes again had me thinking this was some sort of QR code in a way, or something the soul could read or pick up on and in a way make adjustments. But again, I'm just reporting my experience and what I noticed during this test. So it was much more dramatic for me than many of the tests I have been in. But as we know, we're here to keep the Keshe Foundation free for humanity. But also along the way, Mr. Keshe says, as we noticed with Dining with the Creator and other things, you may receive a small gift. And perhaps we can hear the gift that Andrea received as she went through and re-listened to the 558th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, I think. So that was my experience. So we have a session coming up this Friday. It may be moved. I know Mr. Keshe talked about perhaps we'll move that, but I don't know. I think we'll hear more on Thursday, but there's still time to, again, keep Keshe Foundation free for humanity and for you to experience what the transmutation test could mean to you, or what you experienced in it. And again, I know I've mentioned to Rick that Montauk project years and years ago, and I always thought that was quite unique, where I guess the military or some of these black operations were sort of experimenting with energies and people in chairs and things. Of course, this is much more advanced. I think humanity is just sort of playing, although they've probably achieved certain aspects of this. But it was a very, very delightful session. I felt calmness through the entire process. And it was, again, the idea of keeping the Keshe Foundation free for humanity, for our doctors to learn and for the team to learn how this whole system works. And thank you, Mosvek, for not trying to explain those drawings. I know Mr. Keshe said he put 3 drawings in there, and hopefully science and man will be contemplating and studying these 3 drawings, he said, for centuries to come. So, but thank you for sharing what you did. Again, we're always trying to add to the knowledge, or add to the soul, not taking away from the soul.
Well, thank you, Mark. And I would totally agree with your perception of the last session. For me, it was very calming and but exhilarating at the same time. It had a flow to it that was very easy. And I felt that it was easy to make the connection and have that good energy flow. Contrary to the 2 previous transmutation tests, where I felt like I was struggling with my physicality. The physicality wouldn't keep still and couldn't focus, and had, excuses to interfere with my ability to just be there. So I was struggling with different aspects of my physicality, both the external things that were irritating me and internal processes that were going on as well. But the last test was totally different that way. And, before we were told anything about it, we felt that. And that's the interesting part. And then we hear the explanations afterwards in, the next workshop or whatever about what happened. But we could definitely feel that peace, that calmness that was coming through in that space. And that makes it easier to make connections and go deeper into your soul connection.
Right. And this is what I had struggled with as well. But this time I told the soul of physicality, take a back seat, pal. This is the work of the soul.
That's what I told myself the day before as well. It's like, okay, and we're going to give it full tilt this time and not let the physicality get involved. So don't even think about it, Yeah, you have to talk to yourself sometimes.
Yeah. So again, join us. These sessions will continue. And again, you don't have to have so many sessions. You can join this one session coming up and have a very beautiful experience beyond your imagination. And again, it's not guaranteed because we don't know what exactly is going on in the background, what sort of materials or fields they're interacting with different people. And we haven't gotten a full explanation, although we've seen some graphs and Mr. Keshe has explained some things. And I do believe we're making quite a bit of progress. And again, you see this word transmutation. Wow, what a big word. Can I really do that? I've never even pronounced it very often in my life. But be assured that you're already transmuting 80% of your energies every day from the fields without you even being aware. So you're involved in this transmutation process without even you knowing it. Now we're bringing it into a more of a conscious, or you think of pizza. You'd like to have a pizza, and just not coincidentally, someone shows up at your house, your friend, and they said, gee, I thought I'd stop by and bring a pizza. And again, it's not a coincidence. Or you think of someone they wish you wish they would call you, and all of a sudden, maybe a day later or later that day, you receive a phone call. This is a zero-time communication. You're actually transmuting fields. It doesn't always work out that way, but many of the things we have been attributing to coincidences are not coincidences whatsoever. So again, book the virtual seat for your soul and help keep the Keshe Foundation free for humanity.
Great, thank you, Mark. Maybe we can listen to that testimonial from Andreas now. Let me get that set up. Yeah, I might have to fiddle with the position here a bit to get where we need to go, so bear with me. Let's see where it's at here now. Public teachings in English. This is the... Okay, I'll have to scoot along a little bit. Every month we have our...
In the second part of from
somewhere around.
yes, my name.
There we go.
Perfect.
Let's begin.
Miss Andrea. I am from the German community, and I have a little testimonial from the 558 Knowledge Seekers Workshop from October the 3rd. I would like to share an amazing experience with all knowledge seekers, especially newcomers. It is also important to me that everyone can realize that we can trust this unique plasma technology without much effort, just with plasma transmission. I connected to this teaching unit by Mr. Keshe on October the 3rd via Zoom with my mobile, but without headphones. This time, Mr. Keshe gave us an extraordinary for our teaching. There was so much concentrated knowledge, and I felt very lucky to be able to enjoy the whole thing. It felt like an atomic bomb of knowledge expansion. In the second part of the workshop, Mr. Keshe surprised us by telling us that we were all connected to the system via frequencies, which had previously been enhanced with new elements of plasma technology. He told us that the goal was to uplift our souls and nourish us now anew through the soul with the flavors of banana, orange, lavender, and garlic, as well as additional energies to balance the suffering and pain of the listeners. The whole process was tracked again with the recording and the graphs on the monitors. The Keshe Foundation team could see how this essence connected with our soul and physicality and how we changed. Mitra's daughter's soul was also present. How wonderful. He emphasized that we were all nourished by these frequencies. All microphones were turned off. We only received these energies mentally and physically, without active participation, because we were nourished by the system. The question for us was, How much did you each soul accept? How much did we cooperate with our soul without knowing it? Mr. Keshe went on to say, have any of you experienced the taste, pleasure, pain, or relief of any of the three in the last 2 hours? Or a combination of the three? Or will we get then when you ask about it next week, next time? Can you remember that? I want to taste banana. Would you get the taste? Would you get the nature of it? Would you get the emotion of it? Did any of you have this essence or process today during the session unconsciously? Or did we nourish you on the spot so that in the next few days, in the next few weeks, you feel like you want to eat a banana, taste the banana, feel the banana, because it is now anchored in you, you have accepted it. Don't forget the principle of the work of the guns and the principle of the work of the universal energies. You can't take, we can't force you to take if it's something you don't need. There is no point if you don't like bananas. I'm not forcing you to eat the banana. So it would be interesting if any of you ask in the next session or even during this session or the next session, tried or tasted the banana, the lavender, the orange or the garlic, or had a pain that was resolved emotionally, meaning not necessarily physically. And it will be interesting to see how things develop. He asked us to give feedback on whether we listened with a cell phone or PC, with or without headset. What did we actually perceive? What did it show physically, emotionally, afterwards? And what is the result of listening to it afterwards? As I said, I was very happy to be able to enjoy it the whole time and felt very safe in love. I couldn't taste or smell banana, orange, or lavender. I had no pain or suffering. I did, however, feel very intense energies, and that was quite exhausting. On Thursday evening, I went to sleep, and suddenly I had severe nerve pain in one of my molars about 30 minutes. On Friday, after getting up, I noticed a strong sensitive in the tooth. Regardless of whether I used my tongue or bit carefully, the pain was triggered again. At some point, I remembered that I could use the head and tooth pad from Keshe Foundation and kept using it. I felt a sense of relief and the field synchronized. However, on Friday evening, I was only able to eat carefully on the left side of my jaw. On Saturday, I went on like this, and I had the feeling that it made sense to listen to the first part of the Knowledge Seeker workshop in English again. This time again with my mobile and additional headset. After about 1 hour, I suddenly felt a very clear change. There was a feeling of relief in the tooth or nerve, and how a pressure or blockage seemed to dissolve. Our teeth are connected to the organs via the nerve tracts. So I was able to recognize in which organ there was an emotional blockage. It was really amazing and somehow unusual to experience this. I then listened until the end of the first part. It was 2 hours. I then observed how the process continued. I had no more pain, just a slight sensitivity in my tooth. On Sunday morning, everything was okay again. No sensitivity or pain. In the evening, I was able to eat a pizza without any problems. Now, 10 days have passed and no signs or difficulties. I am very grateful for this experience and thank Mr. Keshe and team for the tireless development of this unique plasma technology. The goal of Keshe Foundation and us knowledge seekers for all souls in health, without hunger, without having to kill, to bring the environment back into balance, and to achieve world peace is soon to be realized. Technology in exchange for peace. I ask everyone to support the Keshe Foundation financially so that humanity, all animals and plants, and our beautiful planet will soon be reunited in health, peace, and harmony. Thank you.
Okay, that's our excerpt from the last testimonials workshop. Thank you very much, Andrea. Okay, let's go back to our program here.
Thank you, Rick. Rick has put on the screen an image of a unit that has been produced by the foundation and that I have received. And this energy unit I've used a couple of times, and at the moment it's blocking. As you can see, the actual the headphones themselves sit very tightly around the head, and so this blocks out the sound to a certain degree, not totally, not 100%, but it takes away some of the atmospheric sounds that you receive. The little blue unit, the Magrav, and I think this is a specific one. I think that the foundation has produced other ones, and I think the knowledge seekers will receive maybe a different shaped one. The unit itself is very light to pick up. And you can see two spheres. Well, you can see one sphere. There's another sphere the other side, two black spheres on the side of this blue Magrav. And so this is to put your hand on, or your hands, or at least to put them near. And I found, in fact, I was using it when Mehran was giving the soul connection earlier on today. I actually had these headphones on. And so there's a left and a right connection. You can see, I think, on this, the front on the 3 patches you see on the side here, on the right-hand side, it's got R for the right-hand side. So I was wearing them as it said earlier on today. And then I put my hands actually on to the black materials on the side of the magrav. And I felt a slight energy, but nothing too much. And then when I relaxed into it, it's like all these, when you start to relax into it and you let your breathing slow down, and you breathe in shallow but deep. And then you breathe out, exhale slowly. And you set your rhythm with the rhythm of wherever you decide it to be, but maybe you could use it to create a rhythm with the the lapping of the waves on the ocean. If you were at the shoreline, a very gentle, if you can imagine, if you were floating in the water and you would gently be moved up and down with the waves. So you could keep your breath in that sort of rhythm. And then I started to go in deeper, and I started to sense being present on a soul level. I found that when I put my hands tight onto this, onto the materials at the side, there wasn't as much as a connection as when I actually took my hands away about 2 or 3 inches from the side of those 2 spheres, those black discs. And then I just started to feel the field interactions between the hands. And I have like an empty box of the universe between my hands that contains everything. And I started to feel the pressure, using an American analogy. It felt like jello between the hands. It felt like very thick, dense material fields. And I could almost feel my hands sliding up and down the side of this field interaction. My hands are not touching anything. They are literally 2 or 3 inches either side of this magrav, but I'm feeling very, like jello fields between. That's when I put my focus in that position towards the physicality. So feeling that that field strength, but then taking my focus to the soul aspect and going in deep within inside myself. So I'm going within. I'm not now paying attention to the outside. I'm now going deeper and deeper within inside myself. And then those feelings between the hands start to melt away. Even though the field strength is still there and the connection's there, I start to not feel my hands. I'm not aware of them so much. And then I gently go in further into the condition of the soul even more, breathing gently, remembering that rhythm. And I start to experience many different things. Like Mark was saying, I start to get images and flashes of light and things that come into view. My eyes are closed, so I'm not receiving it as a physical interaction. This is more, Mark was talking about you get flashes, as I said, and colors and things. And many people have experienced light balls and other things. And I've experienced this too. And I get many souls or interactions of like remote viewing that suddenly pop up in your view with your eyes closed, and you're aware of it, and then you start to interact with it. At the same time, I am consciously making myself available to the fields to give from the soul to the other souls that need some energies in that moment. And so I would, if there's a wish being made, I would give from my soul to this wish. And the soul of the Universal Council is very, very powerful. I've felt it many times and had many experiences. When you connect with the souls of the soul of the Universal Council, the wishes are intensified. The field strength is ginormous. It's universal. It's beyond universal. And sometimes when you really become very humble, you really connect to it and you really become part of it. And then when you're in that field strength, in that emotional condition, then you make the wish, the intention, and you bring this forward. And as a soul and as the collective souls, this is then presented to the other souls across the other side of the planet. And it could be much further apart because there is no limitation. The only limitation is man's focus, viewpoint. With this knowledge, we start to open up our viewpoint and realize we're connected to many other things. This is what we've been talking about in this workshop, is there's the connection is with much more. It's not just the viewpoint of where we condition ourselves. So I've experienced this. I know the other knowledge experiences in each and every one of us, the captain of our ship, or the captain of your flight. You know, we all have different experiences. And we're all going to have different experiences because of the way we interact and the way that our bodies are shaped and the way that our emotions are shaped within us. And if you're at a certain field strength level and you are being very humble and very, for some, it's like the heart, opening up of the heart. And for others, it's with another understanding, it's the opening up of the soul. It's freeing the bird from the cage, as Mr. Keshe used to say. It's letting the soul come forward. And then that the wishes and the intentions get put into the field strength in the environment. And then the other souls receive instantaneously. Remember the connection with the gaseous part of the brain of man. So when you go into that soul aspect, that connection, one hydrogen can fill an ocean, a universe. So that connection point, then we give to the souls that need some energy transfer for whatever reason. It may be that they're in a condition of a flood, or it could be a condition of they need some energy because they're creating emotional distress to the other souls. And so when you have and if you're very humble, you have a certain field strength connection, and you connect with the souls that are from a universal condition, that are incredibly humble and beautiful, that have the most amazing souls, that are directly connected to the Creator, that is complete unconditional love. And they're there to give. And they give to this situation as a collective soul. And the soul at the other end will receive if they allow. Now, remember, we're not talking to the physicality. We're not talking to the human. We're talking to the soul of the human, or the soul of the created creature. That's the higher position. It's beyond what we've experienced as through the teachings of planet Earth. This is an addition to that knowledge. And as Mr. Keshe said many times, it takes you into a position of great responsibility, because you can't use this field strength to do harm to another. You have to do it so that you make it available for the other to receive if you have an excess of a field strength. So you're giving, and the universe amplifies it. And then through these souls of the Universal Council, the wishes become extremely, extremely powerful. And they touch the conditions, whether it is a one specific soul or the souls as a collective. And this knowledge is so profound and so beautiful that we start to then connect in another way, where we start to manifest. And Mr. Keshe has done it so that, as you heard earlier through these testimonials, people are starting to experience physical conditions of balance. They're starting to, I've been, there was a case before where I was, at one point I went in some of the sessions and I received the nourishment, the food, the physical food, but I didn't receive it as physical matter state. I received it as a, let's say, a gas. Let's say it as a condition where it was given to me in a way that I received it. Mr. Keshe said this, and it always made me laugh, this one, where he said, we are a collection of intelligent gas. That's what we really are made of. When you actually take away the physical body and you condensed it down into the carbons and all the other elements that are the physical body, you'd have a little tiny pile of ash, tiny little pile of next to nothing. So it's the gaseous part of us that is the biggest connector. And so when I receive on a soul level, or I receive the gaseous part, the intention, the change of the matter state, I felt very full. And I always remember that my stomach felt full of like gas. And when I went to try to eat, I couldn't eat because I felt full all the time. And yet I hadn't received any matter materials, but I had received, I felt like a bloating effect. And then I didn't have any hunger. That's since gone. I now eat, been eating far too much again, but I know this is all very, very, very possible. And so when you start connecting to the fields and you start to understand what these units can do, and you all have a different need, a different wish, a different condition. But I know that these units will create a condition where you can receive everything you need as a human being on planet Earth. And this is a physical tool. And as was spoken earlier by Andrea, she was saying she didn't even have the headset on and she still received. So she's reaching a level of understanding and connection where she's receiving from the units. So the soul is taking position, and the physicality is becoming that gaseous state, starting to melt away. And she's starting to feel it all across her physicality and the emotional balance that comes with it. I'm not saying Andrea needed emotional balance, but as a soul that's present, understanding the knowledge, she's receiving from the universal flow. And you receive, as you've heard earlier, the knowledge that's being shared. The deeper you go into this, the more knowledge is shared with you. And then your consciousness, the brain, everything, the intelligence grows because you're collectively tapping into many souls. So you're receiving more and more knowledge, informations, whatever you want to call it. And it's surprising how, when you really tap in, how much knowledge you can attain, and new ideas, new concepts, new positions happen. So this little blue box is one gift from the foundation. there are many more. There are many products, many tools to start to experience this. The foundation is giving. I sense that when the technology is really accepted and shown to yourself, so that you understand part of it, you'll very, very quickly come to realize the power of the knowledge, and how in the micro, in the very, very small, those nanoparticles, those nanomaterials, those infinite small pieces that when you open them up is a space gap. There's nothing there. And the matter starts to melt away. And we get into the field interactions, the field transfer. And I think that when humanity starts to experience this, you can experience it now. If you connect with your soul and you control your breathing, and you become very peaceful in balance within, you can start to experience this. These tools, these enhancements are gently giving humanity the ability to experience it, to kickstart it and get it going. But also to, if you can imagine, we can create a condition where you could feed a nation with very, very little. You can create a condition where the whole nation receives whatever it needs, it requires. So this technology is creates such a huge change for humanity that humanity has to do it step by step to come to understand what's on the table. And the knowledge seekers, myself, are very grateful to the foundation, to the souls that have created these conditions. And I'm sure each and every one of you will come to experience it gradually, bit by bit. The field strength is gathering. These tools we're using are enhancing the souls that receive them. And then that soul goes into a position that can give back and give more to humanity and all the created creatures. And then we start to act, as we spoke about earlier on. I spoke as we become that one. We become different. We become part of the totality of creation. And yeah, it's your position and your acceptance of where you would like to be. And some of us take or receive, I should say, but maybe take too. We receive what we need, and some of us might just take a little bit of it, and that's enough because I love my physicality. And then others of us may want to go into a position where the full knowledge, the full enlightenment comes, where then you suddenly start changing dimensions and becoming part of creation, going back to the creator and experiencing what we need to experience. I think the soul comes into a position and starts to establish itself. And when it starts to experience these fields and see these other souls that position themselves to help you, it's so wondrous and so beautiful that you find it very difficult not to be a part of it. And even if you you stay, you create a field block, no one can come in unless you need this to happen for yourself. So if you open up, and then the creation, the creator, the souls that are present will help and guide you. And this is all contained within the empty box of the universe, which is full of everything you'll ever need. So this is this image, and I will, when the transmutation test comes, and if I'm present, then I will share more. And I could share more now, but I don't want to go. I think I've gone on for long enough now. Okay, Rick, thank you very much. I think we can let somebody else have or move on, I think, to the next slide. Thanks, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Next, we have the needs and wishes.
So,
this is Mosfeq.
Mosfeq, yeah. Thank you, Mosfeq. Go ahead.
I'll just briefly talk here because we are already way over our time, and I'll just mention a little bit, just a teaser, sort of what I'm going to talk next time. It's about a certain region, certain country, close to where I live, not the country I am in, and the events that are taking place there, and its a relationship to the young generation of people in other parts of the world. And it would be an interesting thing. And the countries in question, the young people are mostly from United States, and country I'm specifically talking about is Afghanistan. It's in our region, and I will go into detail, but it's a current situation and the current events, and it will be interesting, and it is where we can participate as Universal Council members and support members. So until then, it's a teaser. It's very interesting, and it has global implications. So with that teaser, I will hand over to whoever wants to talk, and thank you.
Thank you, Mosfeq. So it's Dean again. So this is the needs and wishes, and there was a wish that was made to help North Carolina and this condition that we've had with this storm. So, but not just that. There's many places across planet Earth that are experiencing these conditions in this moment. So we, the Universal Council, give to the souls present in physicality, experiencing wars, floods, hurricanes, mudslides, drought, sea level rise, unable to afford rent, and the homeless, that the soul receive the energy transfer needed. We make available from the soul of the Universal Council the elevation of the soul of man to be in peace in creation on planet Earth in this moment. We are present. So if we hold that wish in our soul right now and give to this wish, and collectively the souls that are in need will receive from your soul, the soul of man.
Okay, thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Rick. Can I just quickly say, Rick, hopefully some of you felt the silence inside yourself. The more peaceful, the more you interact with the plasmas, more you interact in this condition, you'll start to realize that the mind, the TikTok of the mind, that is present, and people get they're constantly hearing or talking to themselves, this little voice in the background. Hopefully that little voice will start to melt away and you'll find this inner silence, because it's that inner silence, that position, that really connects you to the soul and to everything else. And when you understand that, and when you actually come there, you'll start to find a different space, a different position that you find yourself within. And then when you're in that space, you can create as you wish. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, very good, Dean. Is there any other needs and wishes that need to be brought forward at this time?
I did create a wish, Rick. Maybe we can just read it. We had someone named Carolyn who does come to the meetings and so on, as I said, and she said she felt the fields of the Keshe Foundation and missed us greatly. And of course, I thought she had said that the disaster was 10 times worse than what's being reported. She indicated it looked like Palestine. But then when I re-listened to it, she said it's 100 times worse than what's being reported. And of course, I'm not just making this wish again for North Carolina. I'm making it, as Dean indicated, for the entire planet. Over all the disaster areas on the planet, present and future, and through the soul of the Universal Council and by its wish, we create through our collective energies the supply of needed emotional and physical fields to support all souls adversely impacted. Take what you need. We are present.
Beautiful, Mark. Thank you for that wish. Very beautiful.
Okay, perhaps we can move forward to our next part if there's no further needs and wishes. We have a video. It's from the 557th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and it's known as Rare Earth Materials is the title.
Right. I think this was part of Dean's question. And of course, as Mr. Keshe indicated, and they have tested this over a nation, 1 gram of this rare earth material used properly can create a dome or a shielding over an entire nation. And I think they wanted to sort of connect this to some of these disasters and other problems. And of course, this is what's on the negotiating table. Again, advanced, very advanced technology in exchange for peace. And as we heard, the Keshe Foundation is not making it in grams, it's making it in kilos.
Okay, let's listen to the video. It's about 10 minutes, and then we'll conclude our workshop.
So, Mr. Keshe, can I ask a question from that then? So the material, going back to the material, do you have a name for this material?
It's known as rare earth material.
Okay.
These are the backbone of the new space and microchips.
So it's a combination of elements of materials?
It's a very specific material. It's created in a specific way. We never teach it. It's created in a specific combination. And it's not the way you knowledge seekers think, oh, we can produce this and that. And it's not the process as you produce, we can produce gold, but this rare earth material, it's taken me nearly 20 years to complete. And this material you see is produced in past few weeks. We can produce radiation, and we can produce what we call rare earth material combination with the space nuclear material, which is beyond plutonium, to create a new conditions. It has a huge application. A gram of this used in an appropriate way, it has to be processed in a certain way, can create a massive shield across a nation. This is not talk we already tested, we know.
So we go back to a plasmatic condition, Mr. Keshe, with this protection of, we know the soul would do no harm, and it's all linked. And this is also, this material is a matter state condition. Is this correct?
No.
Okay.
It is in the energy state. If you touch it and put it on your skin, it gets absorbed like water, like oil into your body. It is very much like a human skin. Flexible, separated. It's like the way the separation between your fingers are. You think it's just accidental, otherwise your skins can stick together. We understand the technology and we developed it that way. And you can just put a finger on it and put it on your skin, and you taste it and you live with it. And it becomes part of the energy. But then you can convert it into matter state if you want to. But in the new advanced technology in communication, you don't need to create a solid point. You need to create a dynamic, flexible point like a brain. And this material allows you to do that.
So what are the nations going to be fighting for? This is going to completely change how humanity interacts on planet Earth.
This is what I said to Ayatollah Khamenei and his team in the past few days. Why are we going to beg on a begging ball when the ball is on our hand? We don't ask anybody to beg. We just prepare to give it, share it, and do it. When I met one of the American highest ranking people last week in Vienna, standing in front of American embassy, he was shaking in his skin with all his power in what he was told and what is the next step. We don't work on the ground to do these things. We work over the ground, and over the top of their head they can see what we are doing. And I said to Iranian leadership, stop talking about 5+1. When I asked Ayatollah Khamenei to start negotiation, it wasn't about 5+1. I said we can talk about nuclear in a different way. And now, why do we talk about 5+1? It doesn't exist. because the technology is obsolete. Let the children play. My advice to the Iranian government has been direct. We share technology. We call it TIP, technology in exchange for peace. With the African nation, third world nations, very rapidly, in the next 3 to 6 months, we open the doors of new technology and self-sufficiency. And at the same time, nations like America and European nations want these rare earth materials and new dimensions it brings into play. We are prepared to share, and we are prepared to negotiate. We don't bring any sanctions. The only sanction is on you not to use it. You sanction yourself. And as I said to Iranian leadership, is our job, especially Keshe Foundation in Iran, to stop producing these systems as fast as possible. Still people pay for it. Still like the car tax, every house we know has one. You have a house, you pay for a television or radio license in Europe and the rest of the world. You pay for, you're using a gas up system. Technology belongs to Iran. You pay for it, belongs to the nation, you pay for it. And then everybody has, and they pay according to their what do you call it, their wealth. Nobody is deprived, but everybody is inclusive in science. Those who are near me, they know how much I've been wrecking past few days with the Iranians. And even with the Middle Eastern people, we don't understand. We don't understand the technology. They understand fully, but they're afraid of its application. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your knowledge and your understanding, Mr. Keshe, from the Creator. It's quite unlimited and astonishing to hear it. Just thank you so much for everything you do. I was going to ask some other questions, Mr. Keshe, but I think you've answered my question very comprehensively. So I will let somebody else take a position. Thank you, Mr.
You're
Keshe.
welcome. You're welcome. You got to understand. We call it gifted souls. You don't come here just to ask a question. You come here because the question is set for you to do if you understand it. Working through the souls. And it was necessary for this question to be raised today and to be answered this way. That we don't play hide and seek. We played very, very straightforward. We should not be sanctioned as we can sanction you and give this technology to Russians. Give this technology to your biggest enemies you think they are, and then you'll be nothing. I could have shared this one directly with the Chinese, but the Chinese are so scared of this, especially the gas and the rare earth materials. They're scared to death this to come out. And now we put it on the table of negotiation. And the beauty of it is, we bring a system, we make it for you. What is there does not need concept, it works. This morning, I received from one of the biggest operating houses in the world this message. I just opened my it says, Mr. Keshe, congratulations. Our nation leaders have just understood the technology. They need the gas as fuel. How much your gas cost, how fast can be implemented. This is from one of the top 5 nations in the world. It took them a long time. Now they say they understand it. Let's see what comes of these kind of positions.
Mr. Keshe, I love the fact that you would actually give it to the most humblest nation as well, and that's the beauty of it. And the beauty
we have to, we have to, because that's how they were controlled. When I have what you want me to control, you can't control me. And this is the way it has to be.
Okay, that's the end of that excerpt from the 557th Knowledge Seekers Workshop.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Is there anything else we need to address before we go to our end page?
Are you going to charge overtime for today, Rick, or wait?
Well, we're definitely over the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
That we're supposed to be adhered to, but
I keep reminding them, but the knowledge seekers don't listen.
2.5 would be good. 3 is pushing it. We're now close to 4. So,
Rick, I don't know if you want to take a question.
It was all necessary. And we have a hand up here, so we have to deal with that now. Pardon me,
No, sorry, Rick. I was just going to say you have a hand up, so it may go on a little bit longer.
Okay, let's see if I can. There's our participants. Dimitri, you have a hand up. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Rick. I'll be very quick. It's in regards to last week's One Nation, One Planet, One Race. Stefania mentioned Wednesdays at 6 p.m. I just wanted to wish to comprehend what she was going on about. What happens on a Wednesday at 6 p.m.? Is she still here?
No, at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, she's probably referring to the Brazilian intentions that you can join on Telegram for the elevation of the souls, the world leaders, and whatever.
Oh, right.
Like
excellent.
Food as a physical meeting.
Yeah.
I think it's Brazil. It's on Telegram. It's on other platforms.
Yeah, hopefully getting a SIM card tomorrow, so I'll be back on Telegram. Thank you, Mark, for the information. Thank you, Rick, for allowing me to ask. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dimitri. Well, if there's nothing else, I suggest we should wrap it for today. Very full workshop with lots of good information and emotional connection as well. Would somebody like to do the deed?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark, would you like to read?
Sure. We are here to serve, not to be served. The Universal Council.
Perfect, Mark. Thank you. If Shweta was here, she would say we're not quite done yet, but let me first make the get her background back.
Of course, you'll be back on the field, Rick, later for the Keshe Plasma Reactor group.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my background. Oh, Diane has a raised hand here, so we should deal with that as well. I'm having trouble finding my background, so Diane, did you want to go ahead? Hello.
Is that me? I didn't have my hand raised.
Ah, okay. Somehow it decided to raise itself, so maybe we needed to hear your voice at the end here.
Oh, we all. Okay, bye.
All right, thanks. And let me find. There it is. Sharing's been a little difficult today. Bear with me. there we have the background finally. And so, thank you everybody for joining us today on the 348th One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace here on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. We'll be back next week with more of the same. And our next public teaching workshop is the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group, which will start at 7 a.m. Central European Time tomorrow. That's Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. And that's the place where, if you're a newcomer or old-timer, you can come in and discuss topics, some of the practical side of the plasma technology in that avenue, or venue, I should say. And yeah, that's about it. People know about the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group if you need to be there. And now we'll go out with our usual flight enhancement spaceship unit music version. And Vishweta was here. She would start dancing, no doubt. So I advise you to do the same. Time to get up, do some movement, and get on with our lives. Okay, thank you everyone for being here. And thanks, many thanks to all the members of the Universal Council and support members who were present and provided their perspectives today. And thank you, Mark, for being co-host as well. And that's it. Bye for now.